Today on the podcast, I'm joined by performer, writer, and artist Jayne Tunnicliffe. Now, ITV3 Corrie viewers have recently seen her final appearance in the role of Yana Lumb, the outrageously tarty best mate of Cilla Battersby. From deep frying turkeys to bathing in mushy peas, Yana certainly made her mark on Weatherfield. And today, Jayne's here to talk about her memories of the role 20 years on. Jayne, welcome to the podcast.
It's lovely to be here. Thanks for asking me.
No, Robert, lovely having you. I mean, I've really enjoyed rewatching Yana on Classic Corrie recently, so I thought, oh, let's get you on it and talk about the
Yeah,
role. But
thank you.
I mean, Corrie viewers, of course, know you best in your role as Yana, but your career in showbiz started quite a long time before that, didn't it? Can you tell me a little bit about how you kind of got into the industry?
Yeah, it was basically I went to Butlins, the Metropole Hotel at Blackpool,
Ah,
and I was a red coat for just a very short time, for like about 3 months or something. But it was great because it got you on stage. I was doing sort of comedy impressions, like really, really bad, kind of usual, Gladys Pugh from Heidi High, all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
it got you on stage, and it just got you to do a bit of stagecraft. I had to do a bit of dancing, and you had to really be sociable. You were like the hosts of an evening. So it
Mm,
was good for that. I mean, it wasn't really for me, but it got me on the stage. And then I
mm.
started doing kind of, I liked John Cooper Clarke, and obviously I love people like Victoria Wood. And I sort of wanted to get into comedy.
Yeah.
So I started doing kind of poetry, and it was more like John Cooper Clarke than Pan Ayres, let's put it that way. But I dragged one of my oldest friends with me, Mandy Craig, how Scottish she is nowadays. And we formed a sort of poetry duo called the Dicky Bards, which is a dreadful name, but at the time it was just like dodgy poets. And we got our break on kind of BBC Radio Leeds with two lovely guys called Ian Macmillan, who's a poet, quite well
Mhm.
known, and Martin Wiley, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But they were lovely, and we did like a radio read around for their show in Ilkley. We did these really quick fire kind of poems, and then we got on Bob Says Opportunity Knocks, which was
Right.
kind of like the Britain's Got Talent of its
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
I don't know how old you are, but do you remember Huey Green before then? It's probably before your time, but Huey Green was the
Little
first
bit,
one.
but
Yeah, but Bob sort of kind of brought it back in the. I'm talking about 1989, and
so
so we got
I
on.
was alive in 1989, but maybe not watching that. I was just little.
It's only a mere stripling, of course, but yeah. So we did our kind of quick fire poetry on that, and we got a couple of managers from that, and they managed Phil Cool and Jasper Carrot,
Oh
two
yeah.
John Martin and Steve Hutt. And so they put us kind of, they got us gigs with Phil Cool.
Hmm.
Uh, I think, did we do one with Jasper? I can't remember. But anyway, we did quite a few, really nice gigs at Warrington Park Hall. And it's kind of, lots of things. We did a thing on Radio 1. He got us to record a single. He had a lovely house in Oxfordshire. We did Mike Darbo's radio show, who was obviously
Wow.
the singer of Manfred Mann and stuff. So we, being 60s fans, we were delighted with that. So we got to like tour the country and do lots of gigs. And then Mandy wasn't, she's very shy and she didn't really, it wasn't really for her,
Mm.
going on stage. And we did have a couple of, there'd be odd nights when it would be quite rough, quite a tough kind of thing. Comedy's not easy. Um, and so I kind of carried on my own after that. And eventually that became Mary, sorry, that's my phone, Mary Unfaithful. And instead of poetry, I just did kind of one-liners, and I had banjolele, and it was just that kind of thing. It was a very portable instrument, and it's immediately got a kind of comedy connotation. I was doing
Yeah.
kind of pop song spoofs, but with banjolele. So very Victoria Wood, very northern, very
Mm.
Corrie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Didn't you
yeah.
get to know Paul O'Grady around that sort of time as well?
That was I gave up doing comedy. I did all right. I did quite a lot of. I toured with. I was Craig Charles's support act for quite a
Oh,
long
were
time.
you? See,
Yeah, that was
another
great.
Corrie, ex-Corrie star.
Yes, I forgot because when the last year I was in Corrie, he joined. So it was really weird. It was really
Ah,
strange. Yeah,
yeah.
but we did. I mean, it was proper like a tour bus and everything. It was really rock and roll,
Because
going on stuff.
he did lots of he did poetry as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he
That was
did.
before
And
he
so
was Red Dwarf. He was a poet.
yes, yeah, he did. So he did still do a few poems, but he was quite kind of near the knuckle with some of his material, and so I was a little bit as well. I was a bit rude, so I was kind of there to pave the way for him in a way. I was kind of testing the waters for him. So I did a lot of gigs with him,
Hmm.
and other people like Joe Brown, Steve Coogan. We supported, not we did. we're on the bill with lots of people.
Yeah.
Did I meet Dave Spikey back then? I can't remember. But it was that was the Dickie Bard still. But yeah, as myself, I did. I think people like weird ones like Labby Sifri, the singer. It must be love. Really, really famous. Did it like
Mm.
Nantwich Folk Festival or something with him. Little and Large. I supported Little and Large in Manchester.
Wow.
Their home territory, which was very, very odd. And they weren't my crowd. They were my banjolele was kind of silver. It was like a 1950s jazz thing. And when I kind of moved around on the stage, it was reflecting in all the glasses. I'm probably a bit rude for these. Yes, I was, but they were lovely. Sid and Eddie were lovely, really lovely. But yeah, so and it kind of led on to well, that's how I met Paul. So I auditioned. There was an advert in the Stage, and
Mm.
this is like this. It said, "Do you want to be on a show that's a cross between Coronation Street and the Wheel Tappers and Shunters Club?"
Oh, really?
Yes, please. I went to Warrington Park Hall again, where we did Phil Cool's gig, and auditioned there. And this had come back to Granada, and when I was in the lift at Granada. Um, I was in the lift with a guy, and I thought, oh, he's very handsome and tall. And he went, "What floor do you want?" And I went, "Oh, are you Lily?" As soon as he spoke, I went, "Are you Lily?" Because I found out by then it was Lily Savage, obviously.
Yeah.
And he went, "Yeah, are you the belly dancer?" And I went, "No." But and so I knew he was there, and nobody really knew at that time. Nobody knew Paul as Paul. It was
Mm.
still Lily. It was only his voice really that gave him away. And
Yeah.
he was kind of behind the curtain when I auditioned in one of the studios, and I heard him go, "Yeah, we'll have her" at the end. And
Oh,
so I knew I'd got on that. So that was live from the Lilydrome, which was filmed at Leighton Institute in Blackpool, a real working men's club,
yeah.
social club. And I mean, God, the show that I was on, they had Odyssey, the New York duo, who were really, again, before your time, it's the 70s kind
Mm.
of disco. I forgot their famous song, is it? Can't remember now.
That's me.
Wear It Out or something like that. They had hits, they were quite big. New York, lovely people.
Mm.
Um, George Melly and John Chilton's Feet Warmers, who Paul loved, real kind of, he was great, George Melly, I loved him. And who else was it? Who else was on? I can't remember now. But it was a real mix. And behind the bar, like the regular barmaid in there, was Cheryl Kennedy, is it Susie Birchall?
Oh,
Susie Birchall.
yes.
She was
Yeah.
like the barmaid, like a
That's
regular character
funny.
in it. Yeah, because it's got
What a
obviously got
small world.
was a massive Corrie fan, and he was very impressed by my leopard print coat that I bought from a car boot sale for 10 quid. He was after that, and he kind of came up with this thing that because he'd heard my act, obviously.
Mm.
I was cleaning the toilets, and he said Dana was supposed to be on, and Dana had let him down. So he went in the toilets, and he heard me singing all kinds of everything, and he went, "Can you sing?" He went, "Come," and it was like, "You'll go out here a kid, and you'll come out there a star," and it was like just pushing me on the stage. Then I did obviously, all the kind of quite rude stuff, and
Mhm.
George found me in the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the Ukulele and things, and so when he took me off, he went, "The Union of Catholic Mothers have got a face like a smacked ox." That was the whole thing. So, but he was great. And Brendan Murphy, who was Paul's business partner and life partner at the time, well, manager really, he
Mm.
he said, he came up to me afterwards and said, "Lily's on tour," and Gail Tuesday was his regular support act. And he said, if ever she's not available, would you stand in? I went, "Of course I would." So actually, Brenda Gilhooly Gail was poorly. And so I got to do 3 gigs with Lily Savage on tour. So it was
That's
Newcastle Time
amazing.
Theatre, Middlesbrough Town Hall, and the Liverpool Empire, which
Wow.
was, and actually Brenda came back for that one, and we all sang "No Business Like Show Business" at the end. So
That's
it
amazing.
was,
What a career. And then so all of that
and
and then Corrie. And Corrie seems to be, and I think that's what people almost best know you for now, isn't it? Even
yeah,
though you were only in about what, 50 or so episodes, I think.
52, I think. But I think
Yeah.
I don't know if it was around that time. No, it was after then. So late 90s. I was on. There was a BBC Two sketch show called Comedy Nation,
Right.
and it had loads of Count Arthur Strong,
Yeah.
people like that. He,
Yeah.
Steve Delaney, lots of people like that who went on to do other things were in it. Toby Foster, who played the drummer in Les Alanos in Phoenix Nights. They're all
Mhm.
comics from the set. We were all comics,
Yeah.
and so Peter. Had I met Peter then? I can't remember. But anyway, I'd met Dave Spikey. I know I'd met Peter in Edinburgh. and I knew Johnny, I knew Johnny Vegas, all those people. We all did gigs together, and so they cast me in Phoenix Nights, and I was just the reporter in one episode when
Mhm.
the lights went out in the Phoenix Club, and I came along, and they had a folk band called Half a Shilling on, who sang a
Mhm.
song called "Send the," I won't say the word, but "Send the Naughty People Back." So it sounded racist, but it wasn't. It was
Yeah.
about some shoes that were the wrong colour, but it was. And so I was the reporter getting all this on tape. So it was that was the scene, but it was lovely. It was a really lovely scene to do. No, sorry, I did that Peter Kay thing before then, which was his documentary mock doc series
Yeah, I
before
think I
Phoenix.
remember that.
Yeah, and I was in the one. It was called Leonard of Tompkinson, which is just a lovely episode
Yeah.
to do. And again, there were people like Bob Carroll G's was in it. Catherine Tate was in it. It's just like comedy. Really really great bunch of comedians. And obviously I knew Dave. I knew Neil Fitzmaurice. We're all comics off the circuit, so it was really really good.
Mm.
So that was kind of 97 and I did his Top of the Tower video, Blackpool Tower video with VHS back then. And I got a writing credit and stuff like that. So that was all good. So the late 90s to sort of 2001 were great. And then Paul asked me to write for this new show he was doing, which was Lily Live for
Mhm.
ITV. And then I went down to his house in Kent, and he went, "Do you want to be in it as well?" I went, "Yeah, all right then." And so I was kind of had a little slot in it, and did all that. So that was just moving to London for 3 months, and crazy, crazy,
Yeah.
crazy times.
Yeah. So how did Corrie come along then in the end?
Oh, so hang on a minute. What year was that? Yeah, so I knew I had worked at Yorkshire Television a few years before, sort of mid 90s, on Countdown. I was production secretary on Countdown,
Oh,
and I
really?
knew a guy. I'd been on. Oh, this is really convoluted. Before then, Richard Whiteley, who obviously hosted Countdown and
Yes.
was the host of the local news calendar, had a show on a Sunday afternoon called the Richard Whiteley Show, and I'd appeared on that as a poet. And I met the director of that was Ian Bevitt, who is one of Corrie's very, very well used directors. You'll know Ian.
Mm.
Some great episodes. He's done Emmerdale and everything. And he actually, when was this? It was about 2002. He asked me to come and audition because it was his episode, and God, I can't remember the director's name, but he was a lovely man. And it was the storyline with Peter Barlow,
Hmm.
Sally Lindsay's character, and the other girl who was married to.
Yeah, I can't remember the actress's name, but
She
yeah,
was a
Lucy was the character, wasn't it?
Lucy,
Yeah.
Lucy, and she was a florist. So
Hmm.
my scene was literally I was like temporary florist, and I had to stop Peter Barlow from going up to the flat to see if Lucy was in. So it was
Right.
really daunting. So I was, Ian was lovely, made it really, really comfortable for me because I knew him.
Mm.
But it was, I was in the green room, never been in the green room before in Corrie, and suddenly, I can't remember his name. What's Peter Barlow's name? Forgotten his name.
Chris Gascoigne.
Escon, he was lovely. And he was immediately like, "Do you want to do a line run?" I was like, "Oh my God." But as I walked in, the first time I walked in, Helen Worth greeted me and
Yeah.
said, "Oh, you're here for the day? Oh, how lovely. Well, look, there's the coffee and tea machine. There are the toilets." And she was just so nice. And I just
Oh.
sat there going, "God, there's Bill Roach." It's just Betty Driver was still in it in them days. Jack and Vera was still in it, and then Blanche was sitting outside having a fag.
Yeah.
Maggie was sitting outside having a cigarette. So it's so crazy when you first go into that show, and it was only for the day, but I didn't sleep the night before,
Yeah,
but
I bet. I mean,
the
so
scene was
you do get actors who do come back for multiple parts in Corrie, but
yeah.
when that happened to you, did you kind of think, well, that's my one and only shot of being in Corrie, or did you always kind of hope that they'd get you back in again for something bigger?
Yeah, I sort of thought because it was a cameo. It was literally like about 4 lines or something. But
Mm.
great experience, And I thought, God, that was it's over, and then they move on to the next scene, and you're done.
Mm.
And then it was it was 2004. I had my agent just said go along to Granada and audition for this, and I'm fairly sure the lady who played Beth, and I'm terrible with the real names because I don't know her very well. Beth, I believe Beth.
Lisa George, Beth?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about this, but when I was sitting in Granada waiting going, I think she was one of the other auditionees for Yana. She might tell you different.
Really?
I
I'm
think
going to
she
have to
was.
investigate that.
I'd love to know because I actually looked at her and thought she looks a lot. I knew it was going to be Wendy's friend, Wendy Peters' friend
Yeah.
in it, and I thought she looks a little bit like Wendy. You know,
Ah,
in build and stature, she kind of looked similar to Cilla.
yeah.
In and so I think one of the reasons they picked me was because I was tall and she was short, so it was a bit Laurel and
It
Hardy.
was a bit.
Kind of that thing. They used to have to frame the shots. I mean, I'm like 6 foot with heels on, and Wendy's about 5'4". So
Yeah.
how to frame the shots, I don't know. I think they used to like us sitting down. But yeah, so I got called back and did another. And I did whip my skirt off Bucks Fizz style. I went with a long skirt and then whipped it off and had stick-on tattoos. And I went fully formed as Yana, hairstyle and everything.
Did you kind of picture what you wanted her to look like? I mean, were you given very much information on what she was going to be?
No,
Because even when you made your first appearance as Yana, it was just like a one-off, wasn't it? Kind of hitting on Les
yeah,
outside of a giggle, outside the bingo, I think it was.
yeah, it was. Les was suspicious of Cilla,
Mm.
thought she was cheating on him, and so he followed her. I think Fizz was there as well, and we were just in the sort of queue for a burger van outside the bingo, and he sort of hit on me, and then obviously Cilla came and sort of. We
Mm.
kind of ganged up against him, which was always the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a one-off, and then obviously they have the story conferences afterwards, and yeah, the writers just like Jonathan Harvey was always a big champion of Yana and Cilla. I knew Jonathan. Well, we had Paul O'Grady in common, so I
Mhm.
sort of knew Jonathan. This is really bizarre, but before this is so stupid. But before I was Yana, the year before, I actually went on a storyline writing course at Granada
Oh.
run by Mark Bickerton, who eventually became my husband. Which
Yes, I heard that you found
was,
love while you were there.
yes, I did. But I went there, and it really was like, and I actually did a block as a storyliner. I did
Oh.
about 6 weeks, or maybe I can't remember if it's more than that. Martin Sterling was there, Jane Pearson, Kathy Ann
Yeah.
Hall. It's that kind of period.
Yeah.
2004 anyway, so I had to almost kind of get back to Mark and go, look, after doing this, it was kind of at the same time as doing the storylines. I'd filmed my scene. Is it okay? But I had to go to the story conference, which was in that little dome-shaped building by Granada. There was the garden near
Yes,
the
I
near
think
the
I know.
wall.
Yeah.
And there was a kind of round building, and the story conference was always in there. So I had to sit there. And who was it? Darren Little was still a writer at that time.
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
went, don't get too comfortable because I'm going to kill you off. And I thought, oh my God,
Oh no.
I had all this. And it was like, who do you think you are writing? Storyliners are like quite low down in the pecking order. They're absolutely important, but they don't get the credit that they deserve. It's a
Mm.
blooming hard job, let me tell you.
I bet,
And
I
it
bet.
was it was fabulous because there was John Stevenson there, and he was
Hmm.
pitching Fred down a hole, Fred down a
Yeah.
hole in Audrey's
Hmm.
garden,
I
and we all
remember.
went, and it actually happened. I couldn't believe, when you hear a writer pitch something, you go, no, and then you see it
Yeah.
on screen. It was just crazy. So Jonathan Harvey I knew Paul and Carmel Morgan, who was lovely as well. They took me for lunch in the canteen because of Paul. So we
Mm.
all had a little conflab. And obviously, I was a fan of Jonathan's from Gimme 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 and everything. But yeah, he
Hmm.
turned out to be one of our best writers for Yana and Cilla.
Yeah.
And Carmel's lovely. Jan McVerry was great. I mean, they're all great. John Fay was the writer. They're all lovely. I
Mm.
think we probably got a John Stevenson script at some point, but he was my writing hero at Corrie. I just thought he
Yeah,
was just
he was great, John Stevenson. There was so much praise for him and in his
yeah,
what good work he did for Corrie. Yeah, he's very
yeah.
highly regarded.
Yeah, it just ran through him. He was just pure Mancunian and had that rhythm, that
Mm.
really good northern rhythm like Victoria Wood had and Alan
Mm.
Bennett has. He just had that good rhythm. Great for writing for Blanche. Jonathan Harvey's great for writing for Blanche. But
Mm.
Jonathan wrote lines like, when I was a dog psychic, it was all the Schmeichel, buying Schmeichel off Cilla and then selling it back to her. And I was a dog psychic and in the rovers. She was telling people she's a dog psychic. Yes, she used to show a chow. And I went, yeah, only look, she used to show a chow. How do you get away with a line like that? Only look. We can hardly get the lines out sometimes. It was so funny. And
Yeah.
Bruce was lovely to me. Bruce Jones was lovely to me. They're all
Hmm.
very welcoming. Andy Wyman was lovely, and little Chesney back then.
Yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
was so tiny back then.
Sam was lovely. He always knew his lines and everybody else's lines.
Mm.
So it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you and Wendy were kind of getting together to say, well, how do we want the relationship to be between Cilla and Yana? What were you kind of going for? Was Yana kind of the brains behind the operation, do you think, or was she the dumb lackey? What were you kind of wanting to go with?
I don't think we have to. It was just we just went with whatever the script kind of guided us, and
Yeah.
we I think we just used our instincts. You know, so I think Cilla was always in charge. I
Mm,
think Cilla was the kind of the boss really.
yeah.
I was probably trailing along in a wake, but you know, did sleep with Les, so not a
I
good choice of
know.
friend
That was
really.
probably one of the biggest stories you had, wasn't it, when you slept with
Yeah,
Les? And that
yeah.
that was towards the end of your time on Corrie, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There is, I don't know, I can probably say this, but after Wendy decided to leave, and we were kind of on the way to another soap award, and she went, I think it's time to hang up Cilla's, you know,
Mm.
stilettos, whatever. I thought, oh, yeah, I think that's curtains for me because I wasn't really associated with any other family but the
No.
Battersbys. I was always in Batters. So, and then so obviously she left. She had her final. I left. I didn't get her do or anything. We just shuffled off, you know. And she did her final scenes, and then there was talk that they would have got me back. They wanted to get me back to be in a relationship with Les,
Oh,
and then
really?
unfortunately Bruce got sacked
Yeah, yeah.
into that, but that kind of happened. So it was really, really quite unfortunate, you know. I'd love to. I mean, I'd like to go back as a completely different character. It's been 20 years, you know, but I don't know if you can. But you know,
I think you can. I mean, we got the other Jane Hazelgrove is back as a different character
of
now than
course.
who she played in the 80s.
I'm sorry, I've forgotten his Malcolm Hebden Norris. He was two different characters, wasn't
He
he?
was. But I
Yeah,
see. I think that Yana could still come back. You know,
yeah. I
because
don't
she's
know.
got.
I don't. They've got like what's the girl that's married to Chess? I don't really watch. I'm not a regular watcher. I do dip in and
Hmm.
out of soaps, but I'm not a regular. So the girl that's got five children, that's
Yeah, yeah.
as
Gemma, Dolly Rose Campbell. Yeah,
yes, they're kind of Yana-ish a little bit, aren't they? And you
yeah,
know, they're kind of like the rougher end of the
yeah.
street.
What
So
do
I
you
don't know.
think Yana would be up to in 2025 if you did come back as her?
Oh, she's probably got an OnlyFans page, I would think.
I bet.
Probably. Or she'll probably be some kind of awful influencer on TikTok, you know, something like that. She'll have some scam going. I think she could
For
always
sure.
turn a coin. Definitely turn a coin, you know. We
Yeah.
loved it when the scene at Kendall's in Manchester when we did Blanche's mobility
Yeah, I
scooter.
was going to ask about that. That was great. What was that like to film?
Great. I mean, it took a while, but it was quite physical as well. We had to trip up the security guard, and
Mm,
poor Wendy ended up in the canal. Actually, in the canal, I didn't have to do
yeah.
that. But that was lovely because I got to do a scene with lovely. Oh God, I'm Kirkbride
Hmm.
with Deirdre. That's my only scene I ever did with
Oh, was it?
Deirdre. I loved that. It was only brief, but she was great. She was lovely.
Yeah.
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 But
Tell
sometimes,
me.
like if you did Rovers scenes, it was great because at one time I was at once I had to just enter the Rovers and it was like you're in the studio, so she's just behind the door.
Yeah.
You know, there's all that kind of don't open it that far because you'll see the flats and the
Yeah.
scenery. And, you know, and
Yeah.
so there was Bill Roach, there was Anne Kirkbride, and there was Maggie, you know, Blanche, Deirdre, and Ken, and me all stood behind the Rovers door. And he's always lovely, he's an absolute gentleman.
Mm.
And this is so lovely, a little glimpse behind the scenes. Anne Kirkbride started singing Gilly Gilly Ossenpfeffer, you know, the pantomime song.
Yeah.
There's a tiny house, there's a tiny house on a tiny street, you know. And her and Maggie were singing that together
Wow.
completely behind the scenes. I just thought this is such a lovely little moment I'm
Yeah.
witnessing here. There's a lot of
Yeah.
closeness between people, you know.
Yeah. I always get that impression there is. Tell me what it was like filming those chip shop scenes. Did you like having a little bass in there?
Oh yeah, it was lovely. It was nice actually because it did kind of root me a little bit more in the street because I didn't live
Mm.
on the street. It was
No.
only ever in the Battersby house or in the Rovers, or you know. So the chippy was great and always took a bit longer because they had to heat the thing up so the steam was rising and everything looked hot and you know like it was doing it. But
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. What did they do? Because I've seen the scenes again recently, and you always see the steam coming up. But I assume there wasn't like bubbling hot fat in front of you.
no, I don't know how they did it. I'm not technical, but it just would suddenly start happening. The steam would come up, and you had the insecticutor kind of thing, the
Yeah.
thing that caught flies. And I used to get my hair caught in that because I was really tough. Got my beehive stuck in the insectocutor. But it was great because they're always snappy because it was kind of you and the customer, or me and Wendy and
Yeah.
Les, or whoever came in. We loved doing the wedding. That was great because I had a little scene with Tracy Barlow, who
Right.
hated, she did the flowers and she wouldn't give them to Cilla and stuff like that. So that was good fun. But
Mm.
weddings, funerals and weddings are always really hard to film because it just takes ages. There's so many people.
Yeah, so I hear. And you had on this one, when this was a speed wedding, wasn't it? Because you had
Yeah,
to get in there quick before the real vicar turned up.
they borrowed
In,
the church. Yeah.
yeah. But I think that that's probably Corrie's most memorable wedding ever, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think Tony Warren was a fan of that wedding. Actually, we met him at one of the awards dues, and I think he
Oh,
thought it
really?
was a bit much. I think he thought we were a bit much. It was lovely. It was so nice because I did an art exhibition in Manchester, and
Mm.
he was one of the people I invited, and he came and did a photograph with me and said
Oh,
Elsie was his favourite, and he was so lovely. A lot of the cast went as well. A few of the cast went.
yeah.
David Nielsen was there as well. So that he was so lovely, and we just used to bump into him at awards shows and parties and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
what a legend! I mean,
Yeah, I know, totally. So, with going back to the wedding, that was Status Quo were there as well, weren't they? What was that like having them on set?
it was they were really nice, both really lovely guys. And did the scene with them, and they were just really professional. I thought, and good actors. I thought they did really well in
I
that.
think they did pretty well. I think they did.
They're not actors, but they did really well. And so we got invited. So it was great. I mean, you're actually in front of Quo playing Rocking All Over the World or whatever it
Yeah.
was that they did. You actually
And
danced to Quo in front of you. Not a lot of people get to do that. They were like 2 feet away from us. But they were lovely. And they invited us to their show at the MEN Arena, as it was then.
yeah.
And so and with the producer, Steve November. Steve
Mm.
Frost, sorry, Steve Frost. I can't remember his
Right.
name.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I think he was his dad, and we went backstage and met them. And as we walked out from the backstage area, the crowd saw us and saw Bruce and went mental, absolutely
Really?
went because it was, they knew Bruce was Les was a big Quo
Mm.
fan, and they're obviously Quo diehard fans.
Yeah.
So it was mad. It was really mad. Yeah,
That's
they were
funny.
lovely, really sweet fellas, really nice.
Mm. Oh, lovely. Speaking
Lots
of
of
Les, tell me a bit about the mushy pea bath scene, because that's another iconic Yana moment.
Yeah, well, it was going to be, I think it was going to be beans, and then I don't know why it was just easier to be mushy peas. I suppose there's more water involved.
Yeah, I guess
but
so.
so, it was November when we
Yeah,
filmed it.
because this was shown. It was a Christmas episode, wasn't it? So I guess it
Yeah,
must have
yeah.
been pretty late in the year when you filmed it.
We obviously Cilla knew Liana had a fling with Les,
Mm.
and she was pretending. Did she had skin cancer, I think, but she was pretending it was a lot worse than it
Yeah, I
was.
think she'd got the all
Yeah,
clear, but she was milking it a bit, wasn't she?
yeah. And Chesney had seen it caught us kind of in the afternoon in the bath. So anyway, so her punishment was for us to sit in a bath of peas or mushy beans for mushy peas or beans for charity. So
Yeah.
that was the punishment. So, but the filming of it, they let me buy 2 really nice costumes, and I insisted on a sarong, a skirt to go around because I knew I had to run down the street at one point. I thought, oh, this is horrific. And actually the Quo gig was just after we filmed that, and the producer Steve went, "It's really funny, Jayne." I thought it was funny for you to watch, not to do in November. Really funny. But they did. I mean, we had like patio heaters above us. We had hot water. If you look at it, you can see the heat rising from the hot water bottles. We had under the peas. We had hot water bottles. So yeah, it was good. But we had to keep every take. Obviously, we had to run into costume, and they'd let me buy 2 swimming costumes, and Les had 2,
Mm.
Pairs of whatever shorts he was wearing, and so they had to quickly wash and dry one and put the other one on and go do another take. So it was like just running in and out with peas dripping off you.
That's not a scene that you want to have lots of takes for, is it?
Not really, no. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice to be featured. But yeah, it was good fun. But yeah, they'd make every accommodation for you. They'd try not to make you uncomfortable. But
No,
running
no.
down the street, there was no heat, and it was November.
And I don't think we got to see a whole lot more of Yana after that, because she comes back after Christmas. Scylla gives her a slap, and that's kind of the end of that,
Right, I
isn't
remember
it?
that one. Yeah, she did
And
actually slap me. Yeah.
she did slap you, did you say? Was it a proper
I
one?
told her to. Yeah, I told her to. Yeah, not to choose
Ah.
that. We should back
And then we had your last episode, which was just on ITV3 the other week, where you're there in a fish and chips hat, trying to give out flyers for Wongs. It wasn't really obvious. It was your final episode. Was
No, it was really, it was, I think I did little bits more than that. I think I did a little bit more than that after. I think there
right,
was some where we went on holiday at one point without Les. You know what I mean? I
right.
think there was like a honeymoon without Les, and we went off. I went on the honeymoon. There were little
Yeah,
bits.
yeah, that's right, that's
But it
right.
wasn't it. So it was just because Wendy decided to leave, they just
Mm,
decided the best way is to. I think did she become a carer for an old gentleman or
yeah,
something?
that's right, that's
So
right.
it was like the chip shop had to be struggling to close, and I said glub glub. That was my last line. I just kind of that was it. Went home
Yeah.
and never got asked back again. you know. So yeah, no taxi for me. No waving in the taxi, but she was only
No.
ever a satellite character. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, are there advantages, would you say, on being a character like that compared to being a full-on? Did you mind that that's all Yana was?
I mean, I would have liked to be, and obviously, if the Bruce thing had worked out, I might have been a regular, if that
Mm,
relationship had worked out. But I mean, it's financially, it's not great because you've got no security, you've got no guarantees, you've got no. I've
yeah.
never had a contract, and I used to get taunt. I'm not going to say who, but a couple of members of the cast, a man and a woman,
Mhm.
both used to taunt me by saying, "Oh, haven't you got a contract yet?" No,
Oh,
that
bit
wasn't.
mean.
I'm not going to name them, but yeah,
No.
never forget that. I know. I remember who you were. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, financially it wasn't great, but people like Sue Nichols. Sue Nichols was so lovely to me because she used to live quite near the studio, and I lived with Mark at that time we were married, and we lived just across the canal, near Granada, and we so used to bump into her all the time, shopping and stuff in Sainsbury's.
Ah,
And she was so lovely, and because when she started, she was kind of like me, when she was
yeah,
brought in as Gail's mum. I don't know,
yeah.
she done another role, but she was literally as now and again she'd come in, and she always was like really sympathetic, saying you should, you it might turn into a full time thing like her, And
Mm.
David Nielsen said to me, at least you didn't leave in a box.
This is
You didn't.
true. This is true. Well, you've since then you've been doing from what I've been following online. You've been doing a lot of art, haven't you? Can you tell me a little
Yeah,
bit about your art side? Do you? Because you got your crafted creatures, you got your
yeah.
pop art that you've done.
No, I did an art degree, and I've always done that alongside everything, and it's you kind of need a second string as most actors. 98% of actors are out of work at any one time, so most
Mm.
of them either do a bar job or have a little sideline. So it's always been and I'm just arty. I always have been since being a kid. But I started Crafted Creatures 10 years ago, and that's really it pays my bills. It's great. It's great. But I've done other little bits. I was in the second series of Happy Valley.
Yes,
Um,
you were a kind of was it a waitress you were in that? I
I'm
remember.
impressed waitress. I'm impressed with tribute acts, but it was a scene with Sarah Lancashire. Obviously, she was
Yeah.
lovely as well. I had a nice chat with her. My husband had done a writing course with her dad,
Oh
Geoffrey
yeah,
Lang.
yeah, yeah,
He was a Corrie writer back in the day, so she was
yeah.
lovely. And the other lady said, I've forgotten her name, but she used to be in EastEnders. She was in the she was married to the taxi before your time. There was a
Yeah.
taxi guy called Ali and Mehmet. They were brothers, and she was Mehmet's wife, I think. Anyway,
Okay.
but she was Catherine Kay was friend in Happy Valley. She was
Mm.
a colleague. So they were
Mm.
having a meal. We filmed it in Huddersfield actually, but yeah, that was nice. And it's I mean, God, it's been all over the world. It's such a great
Yeah.
show to be part
Huge,
of.
huge.
Yeah, I did Moving On, which you'll like this actually, because I don't know if anybody remembers Moving On, but when Doctors used to be on in the afternoon, it would go off, it would do its series and then go off, and Moving On used to replace Doctors in the afternoon.
All
It
right.
was made by LA Productions in Liverpool. It's to do with Jimmy McGovern. It's kind of a Jimmy McGovern. He created the idea of the series.
Yeah.
I think it should have been on at a tea time, in the evening. It was really good. And in my episode was Reese Dinsdale was directing,
Another
who
Corrie name I recognise.
Gail's husband and Michelle Keegan's dad, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
He's lovely. Again, he's another friend of me and Bevis. He lives kind of not near me, but in Yorkshire. And in the episode was Dominic Power, who was Cameron in Emmerdale, quite a baddie.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Good looking guy who was a bit of a baddie. I can't remember who he was with, but anyway, might have been Chastity actually. Charity, anyway.
Charity, yeah.
And Charity. And, but there was Sue Johnston
Yeah.
and You ever been in Corrie?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
played
Sue.
Elsa, didn't she? But she
Yeah,
played
yeah.
Elsa, Road to
Yeah, no,
Corrie.
Sue was Gloria Price in Corrie about 10 years or so ago.
Right. And Paula Wilcox, who's in Corrie too.
Yes.
Yeah, so they were the like star names in it. It was Sue Johnston, Paula Wilcox, and Dominic, who played Cameron. So it was very soapy, really, really soapy, you
Yeah.
know. And that was great. It was that kind of like a psychic meeting in Liverpool. It was really nice to do. It was like on location in a church at night. So that was nice. And I did Boat Story a couple of years ago, which is still on iPlayer now.
Oh, okay.
That was great. It's a drama, BBC one. And I
Yeah.
was a Jehovah's Witness in that, looking very, very unglamorous. And I thought,
Any other projects in the pipeline? Anything coming up?
I've been near to a couple of things. I'd love to get on All Creatures just because I'm lazy and it's local. It's filmed in Grassington down the road. But no, I'd love to do All Creatures. I'd love to do Emmerdale. That's always on the
Mm,
yeah. I have storylines on Emmerdale as well, but never been in it. I
yeah.
know Lisa Riley did a play with Lisa Riley.
Oh, okay.
Years ago. So yeah, I know quite a few people, obviously, on Emmerdale, but
Yeah.
it's filmed locally. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I've got an agent. She puts me up for stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah, I've been near to a few. I won't say what they are, but I've
No,
been really near to a couple of things, and it's so frustrating when you're
I bet.
that close and it doesn't go your way. It's very
Yeah.
annoying. But,
Yeah. Well,
never
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, Jane.
thank you. But
Well,
yeah, I
listen,
can keep myself busy with other things as well. You know.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Really lovely hearing about your time playing Yana all that time ago. But yeah, she really was a very, very memorable character, despite the small amount of episodes that she
Yeah,
was in. Absolutely loved her.
thank you. That's really nice. It was kind of comedy, a lot of comedy in those days, which I
Yeah.
think is always good because I always think of Corrie as being quite a funny show as well as
Yeah. Oh,
dramatic.
absolutely. And Yana and Cilla for those couple of years absolutely brought it.
And the nice thing is we're still friends today, and we do try and meet up once or twice a
Oh,
year.
that's
We
nice.
don't live near each other, but she's got her mum and dad live in Lancashire, so
Yeah.
we sort of meet up halfway, between there. So it's
Oh,
quite,
lovely.
I've got a friendship out of it, which is lovely. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll let you go. Thank you, Jane, again. And yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed for more roles for you in the
thank
future.
you. That's
See you
a
then.
pleasure to talk to you. Bye.
Bye bye.